This slide is about changing the background of a slide. Changing the background typically only changes the slide that you're currently working on, and you can change it to a solid color, a gradient of colors, or an image that you found online. So I'll show you just using a solid color or gradient color. Just like when we were changing the theme, you want to make sure you don't have any of the text or images on your slide selected. So click off to the side here, and then we're going to select background. So you can do a color, and under that options, you get solid or gradient. So if I chose a solid color, it'll just hit done. The only reason it's not showing up above this change in the background is because I set this text box to be solid white, so you can always read the changing the background title. So that's a solid color. I can also choose a gradient color, and there's some pre-built in ones like this. Or I could choose a gradient color and do a custom. And that's where you can kind of move where the gradient is. So instead of being the center, I can go top right to bottom left. I could do radial or linear. I can add a first color, and then it can go to blue, or I can have it be closer to red. I can add a gradient stop, and we can add, extra colors. So you can select the box to change each color. So this could become green. I could select this color and make it really weird and just go white. And then we are not weird, that actually looks okay. You can make it linear. You can angle the thing. So there's lots of different ways of changing the gradient. You just have to play around with it. But the way that I wanted you to do this is to add a picture of a forest. So this link will take you to the picture of that forest. Click it. To add a picture as a background, you need to actually save the picture. You can't copy and paste something to a background. So I'm going to right-click this picture, and I'm going to select Save Image As. And then that'll download it to my computer. Then I can go back to my Google Slides, select the side so any text is selected, background. Now I'm going to choose image. So in here, you can actually do a Google image search, but since we just downloaded that photo, we want to make sure it's on upload. So we'll select upload, browse, and then choose that picture that we just downloaded. And we'll hit done. And then that sets the forest photo as our background. That does create a problem though, because it makes the text really hard to read. And that's the second part of this slide, is how do we make text over a picture background that looks really nice visible? There's two ways to do it. One I consider unacceptable because it looks terrible and it's lazy and it makes the slideshow look really bad. I'm going to show you that as a non-example. This is something you should never do in a Google slide. So one thing you could do to make this text visible is select the text, select the highlight color option, and then choose white. You can read everything, but it just looks awful having these white bars over this image. So I don't want you to ever do that. Here's how you make text visible over a background that also looks really nice. This is what you should do. You select the text box and you add a fill color. When you add that fill color, you need to select custom. So when I hit this plus button to add a custom fill color, I want to drag this to white. In the very top left corner, the hex code is all letter Fs. It makes it white. And then you change the transparency. So you can use this transparency slider so that it's not solid white, but it's transparent. And you're going to have to play around with it a little bit to get it to make it so it's the right balance of being able to read the text and still view the picture through it. So I think that's too transparent. I'm still having a hard time reading the text. So I'm going to select the text box again, change that fill color, choose a new custom one, and I'm just going to make it less transparent. I'm going to move that slider to the right so it's less transparent. And then there you go. You can still see the picture through this text box, but I can also really easily read the text. And the nice thing is if I resize this box, it keeps its transparency setting. So I can move this box around to where it makes the most sense with my picture, but you can still see some of the picture through it and you can still read the text. So that's how you make text visible on a background that's difficult to see. If you remember from one of the earliest slides I mentioned, you could also go the word art route. So if I do insert word art, and I'm just going to say, can you read this? So you can see it actually defaults to a pretty white background with a black border. If the whole thing was black, it gets a lot more challenging to read over the trees. But by selecting a either white interior with a black background, you can usually read it anywhere, even if it's over the light portion. Or you can select a black interior with a white background, and you can usually read anything because of the parts that it's dark, you notice the outline. So to make something visible over a background, you can either go the word art route, or my preference is to use a semi-transparent background for your text box. But either one of those will work. What I don't like you to do is just highlight text. I think that looks really sloppy for a presentation. Hopefully this helps adding backgrounds and making text visible over any background. Thanks.